Hey, what's up, marketing leaders? Today we're going to talk about your website. Yes, you guessed it. Okay, well done. But before we do that, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Small Pottery in Canterbury. The reason why I'm saying this is because they delivered those beautiful mugs for our entire team with our logo, all hand pressed, handmade from local clay, I hope. There's even a little signature at the bottom. But anyway, we love them. There's more of them in the background. You can keep staring at them if you want, or you can listen to me. Let's go. Today's topic is why your website isn't converting. And this is a very important point to discuss. A couple of days ago, I listened to a podcast with the VP of HubSpot, the guy who's in charge of organizing the biggest marketing conference, Inbound. It's called. It happens in the US. The guy who runs the podcast managed to grab the VP for about 10 minutes interview, and they discussed marketing trends. And one of the trends, I think the overarching theme of the entire discussion was that in 2023, conversion will be the hero. We'll be focusing solely on converting the traffic as we come out of the pandemic and all that mess, right? So that's why I wanted to make this video, to help you diagnose or think about potential issues you might be having with converting your website traffic going into the next year. Or to be honest, you can action those steps right now as soon as possible, as soon as you're done with this video. So without further ado, let's just give it a go, and you can let me know at the end of the video what you think. First thing I want you to look at is the type of traffic you're driving to the website, because you might be getting it wrong. So what I mean is, not everyone from all the sources of traffic will want to see the same thing. So if you are driving everyone to your homepage, whether that's from social media posts, your email marketing campaigns, your outdoor advertising, or cold outreach, whatever that source of the traffic is, that homepage might be struggling. It might not be doing its best because it's trying to fit all those eggs in one basket. That's one thing to think about. The other thing is, depending on the source of that traffic, plus depending on the customer themselves, they will be in a different stage of the user journey. They will have different kind of emotional bond, different association with your brand, depending on where they come from, what they need, at what time they met you and found out about your company. There's many moving parts to it. So what I would like you to identify is the types of traffic you're driving to your website, and perhaps identifying one or two of those sources that are the most important to you, or at least the most valuable to you, and then trying to cater for those while also considering the other types of traffic on the side. So it's like a 80-20 rule pretty much. Next thing I want you to look at is common design principles, and these I keep mentioning in almost any video that I record because they're that important. If you fail to satisfy the common design principles, you make people think. And while thinking is not a bad thing, online you don't want to cause any friction. You don't want to add to any cognitive load. What you want to do is to make sure that off the get-go, when a user lands on your website, they know who you are. You will want to explain what you do, and you will want to show, say how they search, how they navigate. While this might be obvious, I see sometimes on the website, especially the ones that have followed the more creative suit, they experiment with different kinds of navigation, different kinds of animations that actually get in the way of user experience rather than benefit it. Just keep it simple, stick to what's well known, because this is not the moment where you want to experiment and risk a drop-off. To tell the user where they are, show that logo in top left corner. Don't work with the putting logo in the middle or even top right corner. I've seen that too. Keep it in the top left corner, because if you know more about reading patterns, that's where the eye starts reading the page. Top left corner. So first of all, they will know where they are. If they are in the right place, they might be searching for your brand particularly, so that will just confirm their location in the web space, let's say. Second thing is you will want to explain what you do. So that's where the value proposition comes into place. We'll have another video on USPs later in the future, but for now, all I want you to do is to tell them off the get-go what you do, just above the fold. So before they scroll or take any action on your website whatsoever, tell them what you do in the simplest terms possible without any jargon whatsoever. And the third one, last common design principle, is you have to show them how to search. They have to know how to search your website. I see the trend of website not having search bars. I think it's become a domain of e-commerce website or some kind of knowledge-based websites that they still use search bars, but service-based or restaurants, you know, those kind of basic websites or informational websites, you could call them, they tend to stick to just navigation bar. And I guess that's okay. It wouldn't hurt to have a search bar if it's clever enough to actually be useful, but when it comes to navigation, make sure it's also well structured. There are ways to ensure that. You can do tree testing, you can do moderated tests or unmoderated tests, you can hire a UX expert, that'll probably help too. But in other words, just make sure people can find what they need to find by clicking once or twice on your website. Hiding information any deeper than that in the structure might harm your chances of getting a lead, because that again increases that cognitive load I mentioned at the beginning of this video. To follow up on that, it might be so that your website is difficult to use. Here is a word of precaution. You can't judge the interface of your website through your own preferences. Every person on the web has their own habits, has their own preferences, ways to browse the content and to consume it. You can't impose your own bias on how the website should be structured. You have to listen to your end user and maybe find out more about how they tend to browse websites overall, because if you know that, you can then provide them a structure, an architecture of information that is easily digestible for them. That is often a case when people assume that everyone else uses web the same way they do. This is huge mistake, and it makes the website that much difficult to use. And if you increase that friction, you'll probably just earn yourself a drop-off. Unfortunately, online you don't get a second chance. When they're gone, they're gone. So make sure it's simple to use for them. I guess there are some common, as I said, design principles, but also common design patterns maybe that make website easy to use holistically. We can dive into that maybe in a different video, because this is a quite huge topic in itself. What I want to say on top of that, on top of those common design principles and that bias that I mentioned, is to don't let animations and crazy ideas get in the way of the most primal need for the user to actually get that piece of information. I understand you want to come across as cool, modern, that's great, but accessibility first, the rest can follow. Okay, if you get that mix the other way around, if you introduce some kind of imbalance in that, you are really risking decreasing any chances for the conversion. So keep it simple, keep it easy to use, and the rest will follow. That's what I've learned from experience. Next one is, this is big. And it's often a sticky point when it comes to working with companies. We, especially when we build a website for a client, this crops up in the conversation almost every time. Marketing messaging is what I mean. How do you explain what you do in a way that people understand? You can already tell I'm kind of following up on what I said just before and a couple of points before, but I wanted to put more spotlight on that point by isolating it as a huge issue in itself. Well, because as I said, if the user doesn't get what you do, how you can help them, what's in it for them, they will leave. I was on the fence whether to mention that point here, because it's not necessarily to do with your website. It's to do with your entire company, organization, your mission, vision, the way you express yourself, the way you write marketing collateral, the message, the one-liner that you provide to strangers to explain your business in a pill. This is a deal breaker and you can't afford to get it wrong. So oftentimes we ask clients to go back to square one and figure it out what they want to say on that website. Have a go. Make sure you target the benefit. Make sure you explain to the user what's in it for them, what's the benefit they will get, what's their life before they use your services and their life after they use your services, in the most simple way possible. 1-2 sentences, something you can read in 20 seconds, memorize it, encapsulate everything you want to say. So give it a go, then you can put it on the website and you'll see the results. Next point is to establish emotional connection with the user. This is again not necessarily to do with the website unless it fails miserably, but the underlying theme here is the branding guideline. If you don't have a brand that can sort of impose the looks, the aesthetics on the website to carry on all the principles, values, mission, and all the feels for the website traffic, then you might struggle to also create that bond that will inspire users to actually take action on your website. I've seen it times and times that business owners think that logo is a brand. It is not. It's just a logo. It's perhaps a beginning, a good starting point, perhaps. But logo is also an outcome of tons of other research and assumptions and discussions and agreements. Logo is a representation, an impression of your entire company that's behind it. So starting with the logo also might not be a good idea, but at least it's something. However, it's not enough to build a website. That's what I personally think. To build a website, you need to have a full brand guideline. So you have to have the company's brand well defined to actually do anything meaningful with the website. If you don't have that, wait, don't worry about the website, get the brand right, figure it out. What are you all about? Who you target? How should the brand that you have make the customer feel when they interact with it? It's a valid question because it's all about emotions, it's all about the mood, it's all about how they feel when they approach you. And the more accurate you are, the more likely they will stick around and engage. It's great, but you have to start there. You really can't build a website without having any brand and any marketing done properly before that. Finally, if your website traffic isn't converting, and this is a food for thought, I can't really tell you if that's true for you, but it's really important to look beyond website. And we've already done it partially when I mentioned marketing collateral and brand guidelines, but also think about your entire business model. Yes, you can monitor data to know whereabout there's a friction on the website. If someone visits your pricing page to learn more and then they see the prices and they just drop off, there's probably a potential there to follow up and see why they left, what prevented them from buying from you. That's great, but it all starts with the bigger picture and your sort of, I call it business ecosystem, because website is just a part of it and it draws all the ideas and all the inspiration from those segments of your company that are not visible to the naked eye. So business model, product quality, reviews, maybe seasonality of your offering has an impact on conversion, and maybe there's nothing you can do really, right? Just take a step back, look at the things at glance. Can you spot anything that can have ripple effect on the conversion rate on your website? Because it's not always the website that's at fault. All I'm trying to give you here is a perspective. So perhaps that will help you think about it a bit differently. At this point, what I would like to do is just to sum up what I've said, so you have a rigid, sharp bullet point list of points that you can, just discuss with your team, or have a think on your own, or do a bit more research. We do have plenty of videos on those topics, so dig in. Okay, so just to sum up this video, here are the points that I mentioned. First of all, you have to make sure you're driving the right kind of traffic to your website. Next, you have to double check common design principles on your website. That is who you are, what you do, and how you search on the website. Then you have to make sure the website is not difficult to use. Just get rid of any unnecessary animations, stick to what's well known, and you'll see the difference. Next, you have to clarify your marketing messaging. That is something that might not be necessarily website's objective. You have to do all the hard work before you put it on the website. Next, you have to establish emotional connection with the user. You do that by implementing your pre-approved, pre-agreed, let's say, brand guidelines. Okay, so brand guidelines need to carry on to the website, not the other way around. Next, take the step back, look beyond the website at your business model, product quality, reviews, any other factors such as seasonality that could impact the conversions. Maybe there's no reason to be alarmed at this point. Well, let's have a look and let me know what you found in the comment section. But for now, that's it. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.